Hi, Austin. Welcome to this conversation that we're going to have in honor of Juneteenth and celebrating all things Black joy. I am so
Yes.
excited about this conversation. I've been looking forward to it all day, even though, as we just discussed, I only just now put on makeup.
Same.
Uh, but welcome and happy Juneteenth. Really
Thanks,
excited about this.
girlfriend.
That's right. That's right. Part of Juneteenth and freedom is not having to put on makeup until you have
That
to put on
part.
makeup. So,
That part.
so it gives me great pleasure to have you in this moment with me on Juneteenth, having this conversation and really celebrating and lifting up this notion of Black joy and Black freedom and Black liberation. So I know that's what we're going to talk about today. But for those out in the world who may not know you, I'm going to do just a tiny bit of an introduction and then we'll hop right
Yes,
to the fun stuff, right?
let's do it.
So, Austin Channing Brown is an author, speaker, and media producer providing inspired leadership on racial justice in America, the topic that just keeps on giving. She is
Uh-huh.
also the New York Times and USA Today bestselling author of I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness. She released the Young Readers edition of I'm Still Here in April 2023. Austin is also the CEO of Herself Media, love that name, leading a team who is passionate about telling stories that deeply resonate with women who long for pleasure and delight.
Yes.
Austin has a Bachelor of Arts in Business Management and a Master's of Art in Social Justice. Welcome, Austin.
Sonya, thank you so much for doing this with me. It is always a joy. I feel like there are a number of Juneteenth slash Black History slash MLK Day, right?
All the things.
Holidays, right?
Hmm.
Where we don't actually get to talk to each other,
Yeah.
And so this just feels really special. I'm so glad we're doing this.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Well, for those of you who may not know, my name is Sonya Anderson. I'm the executive director of Together Rising. I have been in this role for about 3 months now. And Together Rising is an innovative grant making organization that really focuses on meeting the moment. Meeting and supporting folks in moments of crisis and lifting up the hope and inspiration in all of us. Our mission is to transform collective heartbreak into effective action by investing in some of the most urgent needs in our country and around the world. So I am thrilled and honored to be part of this conversation with Austin, our board member. So this is really one of the first times Austin and I have had an opportunity to sit down and chat since I took the role a few months ago. But she was also, I think I told you this once before, you were also so instrumental in my decision making when I was offered the opportunity to come to Together Rising. So I am just so grateful for that conversation and for subsequent conversations that we've had, including the one today.
Oh my goodness. Wow. It was a joy talking with you. I felt like I was supposed to, embody whatever it means to be a board member. But by the end of the conversation, I was like, oh, girl, that was good. Oh, wait, let me come in. Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, I just had that conversation with my team yesterday. I
Yep,
just
yep.
the wealth of wisdom that I gained in
Thank
just the few
you.
conversations that we've already had were a gift to me.
Oh, well, thank you.
And I had already decided that whether you took the job or not, we were going to be friends.
I love it. I love it so much. So, Austin, do you want to say a little bit about why you decided to join the Together Rising board and how you see it connecting to your larger vision and mission around lifting up Black folks in moments of joy?
Yes, totally, totally, totally. So I was first sort of introduced to Together Rising. Listen, I'm a Black girl, right?
Okay.
So I didn't really know who Glennon Doyle was. You know what
Mhm,
I'm saying?
mhm,
Until she's so funny. Until this was years ago. This was like years before 2020. I know that
mhm,
once I tell this story, it will sound very 2020-ish, but it was
mhm.
years before that. She was like having all her aha moments about justice, about women of color, right? All these things. And she was looking at her life and going, huh, women here, right?
Uh-huh,
so
uh-huh.
so she gets on Facebook and she's like, hey, do you all know any Black women that I can be friends with?
That's one approach.
It's not women I recommend. It's not women she would recommend.
Yep, yep.
But one
hilarious.
thing Glennon does for us is learn publicly.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
absolutely.
And that is really how our friendship began. I got
Mhm.
tagged in those posts, and she
Oh,
did
wow.
actually follow through and reach out and never let me go.
Uh-huh,
So
uh-huh.
I come to Together Rising through our friendship.
Yeah.
But the first thing that I collaborated on with Together Rising, long before I was a board member, was for an organization that predominantly served women of color
Mhm.
who were getting clean and who wanted to live together and who wanted to have their kids and, who
Wow,
needed a safe place to put their lives back together again.
wow.
And so that was my introduction to Together Rising. So when
Yeah,
Glennon was like, hey, we've got some open positions. Are you in? I thought, yeah, sign me up. Sign me
nice,
up. And
nice.
especially because they were really, really committed to having a woman of color lead this organization.
Yeah, yeah. That's powerful. That's not nothing, right?
That's not
That
nothing,
is not
girl.
nothing, as we like
Mhm.
to say. Well, as I said, it's been such a delight to get to know you in the context of your board membership. And this is our first opportunity to really think about how we bring your bigger vision for yourself, your life, your work, your
Yep,
writing, your
yep,
artistry to the work that we're doing at Together Rising and trying
that's
to
right.
align those things and close the daylight in between them, right? And
Mhm.
so part of this is around this idea of Juneteenth. So I will confess, this will be the first year that Together Rising is sort of publicly
Right,
celebrating
right.
Juneteenth. Like, we don't get the day off. I announced that to the team,
Mhm.
all the things. And
Yep,
so, in that spirit, it seemed like, how could we not talk
right.
about this, right?
Well,
So,
and this is why it's so important for these changes in leadership, right? That we
yep,
always talk about, well, why diversity? Why is it so important, right?
yep.
People start sliding down in their chairs, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, here we
Like the
go
Homer
again.
Simpson, you're like,
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
That's right. That's absolutely
But
right.
we really do bring a different kind of experience, a
Yeah,
different kind of knowledge, a
yeah,
different information,
yeah,
a different worldview, a different point of view.
yeah.
And those things have the opportunity to change an organization from the inside out.
That's
And
right.
so I am so honored to be able to have this conversation with you
Yeah,
within an organization I'm already a part of, right? That they don't have to be separate. And a lot of
yeah,
times
yeah.
we exist in places that are separate, right? We're having this
Exactly right.
conversation over here and that conversation over there.
That's right. That's right. I love it. I love it so much. So, for the folks who may not be as familiar with the history of Juneteenth and what it means and why it's significant, do you want to say a little bit about that?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Okay, so there was
Talk
this
about
whole thing that happened in American history called enslavement.
it. Heard of it.
Right?
It was a thing. It was a
Okay.
thing.
America really doesn't like talking about it, but it happened. It was a thing that happened in America, right?
Hmm.
And during the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln signs the Emancipation Proclamation, right? That happens on January 1st when, Black people are gathered together in homes and churches, wherever they could get away to
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
privacy, right?
Steal away.
Waiting for the Emancipation Proclamation to be
Hmm.
signed, right? And Union troops march through, all these plantations and cities as
Hmm.
well to
Hmm.
announce right the end of slavery. But but the country is still torn apart, right? And
Yep.
so there are a number of Confederate states that do not honor the Emancipation Proclamation.
They're like, shh, don't tell
Right.
nobody.
Yeah. Right. You
Hmm.
ain't marching down here, Union
That's right.
troops.
That's right.
Right. You ain't got no
Mm-mm,
messages for us.
mm-mm. Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
And so it takes literally years for the Union Army to go through all these Confederate states and say, oh no, you will,
That's right.
you will
Right.
announce freedom. This institution is gone
That's
by
right.
executive decree,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
And so one of the places was Galveston, Texas, right? Where Union troops had to march 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation is signed and say, this is done. And so the people of Galveston then name that day Juneteenth because it happened on June 19th.
Yep. Yeah,
But even then, Sonya, not all slaves are free, right? Like this is another flashpoint,
that's right.
right? But that march through Confederate states continues
That's right.
until all the enslaved are set free. But we have an
Right.
opportunity, right? The people of Galveston, the people of Texas give us a word, right? They give us a holiday, they give us a moment in which
Yep.
we have opportunity to celebrate the
Yep.
freedom that we worked so hard to gain.
Yep. Yeah. What I love about Juneteenth, well, a couple things. So, number one, can we just sit in that for a moment? That there was a whole population of people who were no longer enslaved and
Mm,
simply had not been told.
had
Like,
not been told.
how's that work? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, Confederates? Right? Like, literally, just had not been told. Like, we're just not going to mention that.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna just need you to get up in the morning and just go on back out to those fields the way we have always done for generations, right? As a way of life.
that's
Um, it's remarkable. The thing I like about Juneteenth, just the name of it, it's so rich in like the Black English vernacular, right?
right.
We just make up words,
It's
Juneteenth,
so
50,
us.
5011. We have we
It's
have a whole like numerical counting system that is just
right.
inherent to us, right?
It's
And so
right.
I love that so much. Like Juneteenth, that's what we're calling this.
It is so Black.
That's right. It is so black.
It
Sometimes I say blackety black. It is blackety
is
black. And
Black.
I am here for all of it. So
That's right. And for a
it's
long
Juneteenth.
time, it was only celebrated in Black communities.
That's right.
I know you live in Chicago. I lived there for a long time, and
Yeah.
I remember when I lived there, the only community that was celebrating Juneteenth that I was
Yep.
aware of was happening
Yep.
on the west side of Chicago, right? Like
Yep.
that's where I saw signs, that's where I saw the
Yeah.
barbecue, that's where I saw,
Yeah.
people gathering.
Yeah.
There was nothing happen on the north side, child.
That's right. That's right. Well, and to your point, I mean, I grew up in Mississippi, born and raised. I never
Mm-hmm.
heard of Juneteenth until I moved to Chicago. I moved to Chicago in 2005, Austin, 2005. I'd never
Interesting.
really heard of Juneteenth. And then when I moved here, people were talking about it, and I quickly kind of pieced it together. I probably
Yeah.
Googled something. And I
Right.
thought, well, first of all, here's another huge piece of American history, like
That's
not
right.
Black history, right? American history that has been withheld in terms of just my knowledge and learning and understanding of the robustness and complexity, good, bad, and in between,
That's
of
right.
our culture and our history and our nation, right? But you are right. You will not live in Chicago. You will not have lived in Chicago in certain parts of the city
That's
and
right.
not know that Juneteenth was a thing.
That's right. That's right.
100%.
And I'm
100%.
sure that's happening in places all across the country, right? I
That's right.
think in 2020, there became a flashpoint,
Yep.
where Juneteenth became so much more popularized.
Yep.
But
Yep.
previous to that, you had to be in
That's right.
certain communities to
That's right.
even know that Juneteenth was a thing,
That's right.
which goes back to our earlier point that Americans do
Mhm.
not do a good job of talking about the history of enslavement in this country.
That's right. That's right. 100%. And that's why this holiday is so important. And that's why this conversation is so important to
Yes.
lift up for our respective audiences in all of
Yes.
their richness and diversity, but in all the ways that, certain aspects of our past and our future, right? And our present
Yes.
have been shadowed, right?
Yes.
And so this is an opportunity to shine a bright light and not to condemn necessarily, although see my earlier point about how you're not going to tell some people they're free. So there
Maybe a
actually
little
is some
condemnation.
I actually am judging. I'm judging and condemning very harshly. But in
Yeah.
this present moment, this is an opportunity to educate, to elucidate, right? And to
Yes.
illustrate all the ways in which Black people shine a bright light. You
Yes.
see what I did there?
I
See what I did there?
did.
Mhm.
It's very Black. I am so here
See what
for
I did there?
it.
That's
A
right.
Black
That's right.
radical tradition.
That's right. That's
Yes.
right. Exactly.
Came
Exactly. Here come my
prepared.
earrings, the whole 9 yards. So what do you do to celebrate Juneteenth?
For Juneteenth, I used to think that I had to work, right?
Sure.
And not just for Juneteenth, for MLK Day, for Black History Month, right? That's when people wanted my work,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
right? That's when I got asked to speak. That's when I
Yep.
got asked to travel.
Yep.
And even before that, being primed for that being a day of service, right? So it was my
Yep.
job to still not go to work necessarily, right? But to still do some work.
That's
You
right.
know?
That's
And
right.
it's only in recent years that I have begun to flip that on its head and use these moments as an opportunity to honor the work that has
Mm,
already been done, including my own.
That's right.
You know,
That's
and
right.
that
I love
this
that.
could be a day where I get to just celebrate, where I get to just
Hmm.
experience, where I get to just be
Yeah.
with my community or my family, you know, and so I have zero plans. My staff also has the day off, you know, we
Hmm.
will
Hmm.
not be working.
I love it. I love it. Um, so I have an 11-year-old
Yes.
boy, soon to be 12, and his
Mhm.
birthday is Juneteenth.
Well, hello.
I know. And I will also just
Hello.
add the year he was born, Juneteenth fell on Father's Day. So I was like, I have done
Wow.
all of the things. It's a wrap, mic drop. Don't ask me for not ever. Right. So, so long
That
before
labor counts for the rest of my life,
for
people.
the rest of my life. Right. So it's so important to me to celebrate my
Yes.
son. I
Yes.
am raising a little Black boy in
Mhm.
these whole entire United States of America,
Yes.
for all the opportunity and challenge, for all the love and heartbreak that that brings, right?
Yes.
And the totality and the complexity of the human experience. And so I have been celebrating Juneteenth, and I
Mhm.
have been celebrating the birth, and the love and the growth and development of this little Black boy in my life for at least the past soon to be. So, in some ways, the holiday is just, something that we've always done, but it's nice to have it sanctioned as I think about what it means to be
Mhm.
free, as I think about what it
Yes.
means to be liberated, and what it
Yes.
means to raise up our children, right, in this space, knowing that they have world at their disposal,
Yes.
right? And that they are
Yes.
entitled to every single freedom that
Yep.
their heart desires, right?
Does that
So,
feel, in any way, the dichotomy of that feel hard for you to rectify, knowing that your boy was born on a day of freedom, but also there are so many freedoms still yet to be achieved?
yeah, I think so. I say all the time, like, freedom ain't free,
Yeah.
right? Freedom ain't free. Like,
Yeah.
freedoms can be eroded.
Mhm.
Freedoms are being eroded. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Freedoms are being eroded,
Hello.
right? Gerrymandering,
Yes.
anti-gay,
Yes.
anti-CRT,
Yes.
right?
It's
Anti-gender
everywhere.
affirming care, like
Yes.
right?
Yes.
All the things. And
Yes.
those impact our community just like they impact every other community,
Yep.
right? Right? Black folks sit at the crossroads of intersection in all the ways. So
That's right.
that fight is our fight,
That's
right?
right.
That encroachment on freedom is our encroachment on freedom too,
That's
right?
right.
And so you're right. On the one hand, there's a message that I give to my son that says, you have the right to be anywhere you are,
Hello.
right? You have the right to dream anything you want.
Mhm.
My job is to create the pathway. Your job is to do the work to get there. Like, we all got a job to do because I am a Black woman from Mississippi, right? And so
Okay.
everybody got a job. Everybody
Yeah.
got a job in this house.
Yeah.
But this world is yours for the taking. But
Mm.
you must work for it, and you must be vigilant about it. And
Yeah.
by you, I mean him as the individual and we as a collective community,
That's right.
because freedom is never free.
It's not free. Mm.
Let's talk about Black women.
Yes.
And
Yes.
talk about Black joy and freedom not being free, right?
Hello.
Because wherever there are encroachments, right, women often bear the brunt, and then
That's
women of
right.
color, like, the double brunt of that, right? So, I know you think a lot and you talk a lot about Black joy and delight. I love that you use that word so much. Say a little bit about, like, what is that for you? What does that mean for you?
I'm working on my on writing my next book, and so these are things that I'm like trying to distill into sentences that make sense,
Mhm,
into
mhm. Yep.
words on a page that are like concrete and
Uh-huh,
clear,
uh-huh.
And so I'm going to do
Yep.
a terrible job of just saying it out loud right now.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
It's family.
know that
It's
this,
family.
right, this comes
That's right. That's
from
right.
me
That's right.
actively trying to put words and language to
Mhm.
this. And I think one of the things that I am discovering is that for a long time, for generations, we have been expected to be the strong Black woman,
Yeah.
right? And And there has been both an embracing of that as language, right? That in some situations that has become empowering. It has
Yeah.
encouraged us to go on. It has encouraged us to not give up. It has encouraged us to recognize that freedom isn't free, right? Right. And to keep going.
Yeah.
On the other hand, right, we have also rejected it because
Yeah.
we're like, okay, but why I gotta be strong?
That's right. That's right. That's
Can
right.
somebody else be strong?
That's right. That's right. I'm tired.
Can I be gentle? Can I
Yeah.
be leisurely? Can I be
Yeah.
like, can I be something other
Yeah.
than strong?
Yeah.
Right. And I am realizing that there are certain ways of being beyond the label itself that
Mm.
Black women have to undo, that I have to undo.
Yeah.
So for example, when I am beating myself up over the thing that I should be doing or should have done,
Mhm.
right? I say to myself, man, Austin, you really got to get it together.
Mhm.
You really got to get it together,
Mhm.
right? You cooked dinner all of like 2 times this week. You didn't do your workout. You right, like you have got to get it together, as opposed to celebrating what I
That's
have
right.
done,
That's right.
that I did do this week, that I managed to still cook twice.
That's right.
That you know,
And they ate those other days too.
okay,
Did
listen,
nobody go hungry? That's
right?
right.
Like that's an indication of how crazy the week was, but
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am still showing up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that language, right, that I need to be stronger
Yeah.
is embedded in me, right? I can reject the label all I want,
Mhm.
right? But the idea of being strong, the idea of getting it together, the idea of keeping it together for everyone else, the idea of showing up even when I am sad or depressed or emotional or right, all legitimate reasons for taking a break,
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't give to myself,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
And so the deep belief that I am trying to work from, Sonya,
Mhm. Mhm.
is that the world, regardless of the world, that
Sure.
I can lead my life
Mm.
just as well from joy as from strength,
Mhm. Oh, I love that.
right? Will strength get me to power through some things? Sure, it has and it does, right?
Yeah.
But I believe that joy could just as well be an engine of my life,
I love that.
right? That
I love
my
that.
joy is just as much a catalyst as strength,
That's right.
right? And that
That's
part of my
absolutely.
human dignity is that I get to live a life of joy, right? That I get to use joy to push through those weeks that are insane, that I get to use joy to push through, as opposed to simply relying on the strength of Black womanhood.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's exactly right. And I think, I always say you only know what you know.
Yes.
And if your normative framework has been one your entire life, right, that Black women work, we toil, we labor, we stress, we strain, we do all of those things. You never even think about the counterfactual, right?
Yes.
You never even think about the counter narrative unless you read something, you hear something, like something has
Right.
to interrupt that for you,
That's
right?
right.
For you to start to say, I am deserving of joy and I'm going to lead my life from a place of joy. Like that's so incredibly powerful. And I feel like we don't hear that enough
Right.
as Black folks, as Black women, like we don't
Yes.
hear it enough, and we don't give ourselves that permission to live in exactly the kind of way that you're talking about.
It is a new concept.
Yeah,
It is a new concept because so many
yeah,
Black women before us, all they could hope for was survival.
that's right.
They didn't get to hope for joy,
That's right.
right? They found joy,
Yeah,
right? They
yep,
created joy, right? But
yep,
the idea of having a whole life right?
That's right.
It was like, what America are you living in?
That's right.
No,
That's
it
right.
wasn't even an option.
Yeah.
And now it is becoming an option because of all the work they did being
Yeah.
strong,
Yeah.
right? We now have the option to
That's
live
right.
with joy as opposed to by strength.
That's
But
right.
because that's a new concept, we're also learning how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, we don't
Yeah,
really know
I know.
how.
And well, that's right. Well, I'm sure, I mean, in your home and in my home, in moments of, moments of frustration, I have been known to say something like this: what y'all not gonna do is kill me, right? What y'all not gonna do is give me a heart attack. I'm about to go somewhere. And like that is our
Yes.
hyper amped up way of saying,
Yes.
I'm reaching that limit, right? Like it's too much. I need to tap out for a day, for a week, for like what for 15 minutes, right? And to be able to do that and to say that and to know that that is okay. One of the things that I've been saying to myself recently is speak to yourself. Like we talk about strength, right? We talk about perseverance. What we don't talk about is compassion, right?
Yes.
And so lately I've been in this sort of narrative loop of reminding myself to show myself the same compassion that I show to others. So if you came to me and you said, Sonya, I'm stressed out, I got all these jobs and a kid and blah and da, 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 I would say, girl, if you don't go check yourself into a lovely hotel spa
Oh,
and have a staycation and take it, they'll be all right. They will be
you
okay
would
without you for a
you
weekend.
would
Like
not
I would say that to
hesitate
you.
to give me that
Right.
advice.
I would
Mhm.
say that to you, right? But would I say it to myself? The answer for me actually is yes.
Right.
Actually,
But you
yes,
had
I
to
very
work
much
for
say
that
yes.
yes. You had to
But
work
I
for
had
that.
to work for that yes,
Yeah.
right? Exactly. So why is it that we offer and extend that level of kindness and understanding and compassion and love to someone else and we don't turn it back on ourselves, right?
Yeah. I as a genuine answer to that question, I think one of the things that Black women really struggle with, um, I don't know if struggle with is the right word, but one of the
Mhm.
things that we're aware of, that we are very
Mhm.
aware of, are our ancestors. We are very aware
Totally.
of our history. We are very aware of what it took to get us to this place. And I think
Yeah.
one of the questions that we're always carrying is, what do we owe?
Yeah.
Right? What do
Yeah.
we owe our ancestors? What do we owe our children? What do we owe ourselves?
Yeah.
Right? And in a world that does not value our joy,
Yeah.
right? It would be different
Yeah.
if the world affirmed us in that
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
we, as a community of Black women, are still negotiating, right?
Yep.
What does it mean and what does it look like to uplift the work that has already been done, to say
Yep.
yes to the work that is mine, and be fully human and
That's right.
joyful and compassionate to ourselves.
That's right. And I think that's our charge, right? Like that's our charge for ourselves, but it's also our charge for you're a mom, I'm a mom. So many folks who are listening to this parent in a variety of different ways. And that is our charge. Like, yes, we work hard. Yes, we prepare. Yes, 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 we have grit and resilience and all those things. But we are deserving of all the richness and beauty and love and joy that this world has to offer us. And that is absolutely part of the message that I'm trying to instill in my own child, as part of the message that I'm trying to instill in the work that we are doing. Like that is also as much a part of my role and responsibility as a parent as all the other stuff, right? And to shift the narrative for our children and their children and their children, right? We've been through the battle and the battle continues, right? Because freedom ain't free, right? But there's this other richness that I want my child, all of our children to know and seize as their birthright,
Yes.
right? As their
Yes.
birthright. So, well,
Mm.
this is hard stuff. It's important stuff, but it's hard stuff. So I'm going to lighten it up with one final question,
Yes, let's do
which
it.
is Juneteenth.
Yes.
What do you bring into the barbecue?
Ooh,
I mean, it is
I
Juneteenth
love
after
a
all.
good barbecue.
That's right. That's right.
I would not dare be responsible for macaroni and cheese.
Mm,
It's
mhm.
too
Too
high
much pressure.
stakes. It's too
Too much
important,
pressure.
so I
Yep.
could
Don't do
not
it.
do that.
Don't do it.
Um, Maybe like baked beans. you know, something that
Ooh,
people will
that's a good one.
enjoy, but there's a
Yep,
little like leeway, right?
that's right.
People are
That's
a
right.
little forgiving of the baked beans, right? If they're spicy, they're like, oh, okay, like maybe I wasn't they're
That's right.
sweet, they're like,
That's right.
oh, this is like candy, you know, like
That's
there's
right.
no wiggle room.
That's right. That's right. And you can't really mess them up. Like you'd have to leave them in the oven for like hours to dry them out and mess them up.
Exactly.
I
So
like
I think I'm gonna
I
go
like
with
that.
baked beans.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. Oh, I wish I thought of that. I was gonna say, because you're right, like I'm not messing with a potato salad. I love potato salad, but I'm not doing that. It's too much
I'm
pressure.
not gonna make it from
Um,
scratch. That's my
y-
problem.
well,
I'm
right, and it
gonna buy
doesn't.
it and then jazz it up.
But and you think it's not like it's just potatoes, but there's some alchemy that has to happen in just the right way. And I am not a sorcerer. Like I'm not doing it. I'm going with pound cake. Yeah.
Really?
I love to bake. I'm a pretty good baker, I like to believe, right? And as long as you don't dry it out, like who doesn't love a good buttery pound
Oh,
cake? It can be
okay.
warm, it could be room
Mm.
temperature, it could be outside. You can put that foil on
A
top so
little
the flies don't
glaze
get
on
in it.
it, with the glaze,
Glaze,
without
yeah,
glaze. Yep, we're all
all
in.
the things. All the
I
things.
love
Well, once we're done with this, you can just send me your address, and then I'll be at your house in a few hours. If you just let me know what time we're gonna start eating, because that's very important to me. Because part of Black Joy is Black food and
I
Black
will
cooking.
accept all the pound cake.
That's right.
I will accept.
I'm talking about my baked beans. So I love it. I love it. Well, Austin, thank you so much. I am so just full, right? I am so full from this conversation. I'm so full for this opportunity to talk about things that we don't get to talk about very often, right? Which is celebrating Black love, Black joy, Black exuberance.
Yeah.
Um, at Together Rising, one of the things that I've been very conscious of and thinking about, right, in just my few months in the role is how do we let more folks know about what we're doing, the fact that we exist, right?
1,000%.
That we are here, that we are looking to broaden and expand and diversify our community in all the ways, right? Like we've got a core group of amazing, amazing folks who support us and who champion our work. But we are here for everyone,
That's right.
right?
That's
And I
right.
particularly want to talk to my brothers and sisters, right? And say that this organization is a resource for our community, for some of
Yes.
our needs, for some of our
Yes.
issues. Um, and I also want to be very thoughtful about not just thinking about and supporting um, Black trauma,
Yeah.
right? Black hardship,
Yeah.
Black sadness.
Yeah.
Those things are those things are things that we are struggling against and working against every single day in the context of our work. But
Yes.
also just want to say that where there is that investment, there are
Yes.
so many other ways that Together Rising wants to be there
Yeah.
for the Black community and support us in all of our wonderfulness
Mm.
and all of our joy and all of our this Black excellence. So
I
thank
love
you
that
so much.
because there are so many organizations that are meeting people in their trauma, right? I
Yep,
think Black women in all of our innovation, right? All of our creativity, we are also
yep,
thinking about how do we not become traumatized in the first place, right? How
that's
do we
right. That's
not
right. That's
create
right.
new traumas, right? How do
That's
we,
right. That's
right?
right.
How do we live
That's
into
right.
this joy? And so I am
Yeah.
so thrilled. This is why
Yeah.
you needed to be the executive director, the first executive director of Together Rising.
Thank
I am
you.
so grateful for your
Thank you.
leadership and for the ways this organization is going to change
Yeah.
because of your leadership.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a great team and I've got a great board that agrees to do these kinds of
Listen, I
things
got
with
your
me.
back. You know I
That's
do.
right. Well, you said, I'll do anything if you ask. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna ask. So Austin, thank you so much. I will absolutely look forward to the next time we have another
My
conversation.
pleasure. Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth.